The take home message for me is not about me at all. That there's nothing that I've experienced that's outside the boundaries of anyone else. That the human mind is far from being understood in conventional psychology. That enlightenment has always been the key to human consciousness. But what it really required was the scientific inquiry to explain the phenomenon, and to take that phenomenon and bring it to be the blade of the scalpel of psychology. To take a look at the whole human experience objectively and rationally. When thinking about animal psychology, evolutionary biology, thinking about emotion and its practical utility in forming context for animals to behave, and understand the mind as a reality generating device, something that is intended to perfect an external experience within the cognitive abilities of the organism itself. And understanding the role of emotion, understanding the role and physiology of the fight or flight mechanism, as well as its profound psychological ramifications in animals, and understanding its role in animals, its necessity, and then considering things like the appendix in human beings, or the tailbone, things that had hundreds of thousands of years to evolve away, and then thinking about the rapid formation and proliferation of language, something that would not enable physiological or developmental changes within the brain during this very brief period of time of human history where language has enabled the proliferation of technology. We failed to really recognize the curse of language, the proverbial me, an illusory segregation between the perfective external reality that is actually internal to your brain and the formation of the imaginary me, one that children inadvertently looked at during their first fight or flight experience, where the fear obliterated the safety and security of the parents, where the parents were now seen as a threat. The child would falsely attribute all the missing emotions that the fight or flight took away as the cause of the fight or flight, trapping them within the rigid boundaries of a temporary psychological dynamic of tunnel vision, only used to impair cognitive processes associated with external stimuli, so that animals would affix themselves to the threat, that the animal's consciousness would envelop the predator or prey. And any emotions the animal was experiencing associated with other things like hunger, a drive to reproduce, or mark territory, that would stimulate involuntary and powerful instinctive behaviors had to be nullified without the ability to change the way the ears, eyes, or olfactory apparatuses function. The brain evolved an inhibitory mechanism through the efferent signals of the fight or flight system of the autonomic nervous system, with its tentacles in every region of the brain. Norepinephrine would block the cognitions associated with those elements. And in the human being, this is the reason for the subjective ego, a pervasive need for more, and analyzing to understand is a secondary cognitive process in an effort to understand the reality of the outside world. But it's powerfully and strongly influenced by false notions of self that are brought into being as triggers that feed themselves by confirming themselves As you get triggered into something's wrong, you look in and you locate a trigger to project onto reality and transform yourself into an abandoned child seeking your parents' approval. And you call that a trauma bond. And as the world continues to run on the treadmill of darkness, and you want to buy it now, and kids are asking, are we there yet? We fail to see the gift of life. We fail to confront the inauthentic nature of our opinion-based attachments, our yellow brick road to our own fantasy futures of healing, of success, of more. An effort a child at 5 invented. Figure it out and be perfect for mom and dad to avoid the abandonment. And there you are, chasing your tail to find the love that the fear took away, to find the belonging that you can't seem to crystallize. And as you pursue your fantasies in the future by overlooking your realities today, you set yourself up for another betrayal, another discard, another failure. And underneath all your hopes that you have to invent to offset the pervasive fears of rejection and failure, the one thing that you fail to see is yourself. As you pursue the emptiness of validation to satiate the emotional states brought into being by this malformed fight-or-flight reaction that we've normalized, and where psychology can't explain why every single adult human fears abandonment like a 5-year-old, and why failure doesn't seem to have any evolutionary advantage, because the mother cheetah doesn't come empty-handed and feeling sorry for itself like a failure and let its cubs starve. Or the dog doesn't get rejected trying to mate with the other dog and tuck its tail for 2 years, wondering if it was good enough. As we modify our bodies to become the Barbie dolls we worried so much about and invented plastic surgery, as we drug ourselves, trying to saturate neurotransmitter so we can feel better, as we pursue the emptiness of growth and our skyscrapers get taller and the plastic in the ocean grows and our climate warms and the threat of our own annihilation comes at the hands of the narcissists that we put in power as we diffuse the responsibilities out of a fear of failure. As our school systems teach us that intelligence is recalling the ideas originated in someone else's mind, we walk around wondering where are all the good people at, in a state of fear, trying to understand a world that we just disconnected ourselves from. So the truth of the salvation of Jesus was real. The enlightenment of Buddha was real as well. And the truth that sets you free is that you're not broken, that there's nothing wrong with you, that you're not unloved or unlovable, and that everything you want is already there. And if you could find the courage to just let it all go, something magical will emerge. You, an unadulterated, objective view of reality, present moment conscious experience where all your answers form at the speed of electrons. You never have to worry again. Where water becoming wine means that with every breath you take, you rejoice at the gift of your life. As you look up at this universe and marvel, keep in mind the universe is just looking at itself the moment you open your eyes in the morning.